Okay, bit of an update on the mill. Excuse the wonky camera angles here. I've got, so this here, this is the chain drive that drives the feed, the power feed to the axis. Chain's a bit slack as you'd expect for its age, so that's going to be changed out. Also there's a key that's driven its way here, that's found its way inside of here, and there's nothing here on the drive for the main, so every so often it would slip in. That's the drive from the, excuse me, out of focus. Then there's a pulley that drives from the bottom pulley of the motor up to the top pulley here, and then the chain drives the power feed. So all of that is stripped down, which actually helps with, it's actually going to help with cleaning and painting. Here is the main, you see that's the casting. So behind there is a cavity, behind the back is a cavity for those. And then the main pulley sits in here. Bottom pulley for the motor in now. That's a top cover just to keep everything safe. That's the bottom cover for the milling machine there. That's the, obviously you can see the axis lead screw there. So everything's in a pretty good stripped down shape now to, I wasn't going to go this far, but the motor started playing up, so while the motor was off, I figured I might as well be doing some work to clean this up before I'm going to put a three-phase. I've got the single-phase motor working again. If I get stuck in Liga, I'll put that back on. The idea is to put a three-phase with variable speed control just to give me a bit more. I think there's 6 ranges on this motor with a single speed on this mill, so we can update that and hopefully get a bit more usability. It will be easier to adjust and everything else. So today's a bit more just a clean up and painting video really. I'm just going to scrape off the worst of this. Couple of years of crud. And this is a really nice solid bracket somebody's made to hold a different motor than the standard motor. The standard motor that comes is 1.5 horsepower, but it's huge. And they won't, I don't think they're dual voltage either, so this is perfect for a standard 90S frame size motor. So that's what I'll be putting on there, foot Crompton. Three-phase motor running off a single to three-phase inverter running 220 volt, and that will give me all the control I need then really. And a bit gentler start for the older machine. Got to do a scrape off with the crud to start with. A good wire brush. Rust treating primer, Amorite, which does both it binds and it neutralises the rust. And then we can give this a fine paint then in the grey that I'm using. Trying to scrape as much of this off as possible because I don't know what's lead paint, what's not, so I'm trying not to get too harsh with sanding. If I do, tend to do it by hand. I think a lot of this is from seeing inside the covers. The machine was very originally grey, because that's what's inside of the back of that casting as well. So that's not the reason I'm going back to grey. That's just because that's the colour I like for machinery. But it turns out it was the right colour anyway for the original machine. You see it just, most of it just flies off anyway. And then we'll give it a sand, a prime, just to take a bit of the had to bring it back in for this. This is the most over-engineered motor bracket you've ever seen. Look at it. The weight that it can hold is just massive. Mind you, the motor was the old motor that I sent photo was huge. And that's a really nice piece of engineering. Okay, so try and get some more of the grease off. As much as I hate to waste a good drink, needs must. Probably be better on the size of this and just cover it in mess and set fire to it. Probably get rid of most of the most of the crud pretty quickly. No, we're not going to do that. Not yet. You can see here the edges are pretty rough. They don't really affect anything, but some of them are a little bit raised on the making surface, so I'm not going to try and get all these imperfections because it's probably made that way, to be honest, because it's, end of the day, it's a motor mount, it's not a precision. I just want to make sure everything's flat so it butts up nice, get good contact, reduce vibration, etc. But that's it. And also, this is a really old file, it just makes a great little where the scraper wouldn't go in because it's too sharp, the Stanley scraper. Yeah, they're great for just digging out old bits of paint in areas you can't get to, and they act as a nice little scraper. It's a really handy thing with an old file. Yeah, you're not worried about the teeth on it, so you can just, this one's pretty short as you can probably see, yeah, it's had a right hammering, so that's the only reason I hang on to files like that. They're no good for any decent work, but for cleaning up, deburring, it's absolutely fine. And they make nice scrapers, of course, if you grind them down. And okay, I was going to paint this with a Hammerite primer. It's going to take forever to go off, and also nearly all of this is rust, so I'm going to treat it with this Cure Rust. I think it's pretty much a phosphoric acid or similar, so it will convert, it will just kill the rust, stop the cycle. It will turn black when it's converted, and then I can go on and prime it and paint, which will be much faster because I use a spray primer, so it will go off very quick. It'll mean I can get all the painting done on the various parts I prepped today instead of waiting, you know, for another few days while everything goes off in the cold weather. So we'll get a bit of this put on. So you put it in a separate container so you don't contaminate the bottle with cheapest, nastiest brush you can find because it's not good for much else once you're done with this. And it's just literally liquid, so it doesn't bond like a paint. It's a pure, let's say, chemical. You can smell it as it's reacting with it. And the nice thing is it'll only react with the rust. It won't react with any decent clean metal, so you're not going to damage anything. Of course, this only neutralises the rust, and then you have to get a coat on to protect it from going again. So then we'll give it a full paint.
You can get rid of this and just wipe off the remainder that doesn't react and is left behind. That's what I've always done in the past anyway. It's always worked well. Nice, all the crystals pulling out the brush. Yeah, you get the idea. So I'll go in and treat everything, not just reactive, wipe off the excess, and then you can see here it's starting to black out, go a bit purple. It's reacting with the rest, and it'll just neutralise it so we can save ripping every last piece of rust off. I've got a loose top surface off. So it's getting crazy with the braces in the workshop.
You can see this really starting to tinge now, where it's turning like a purpley black. That's doing its job. I've ordered some new chain. This is the chain that I showed you around the back of the part, and you can see it's a good indication. It's not the only indication, but it's pretty worn out, and there's no idler adjustment for this. So the fact it's stretched, it's now very slack on the back. So I'll put a picture in here of where it was. So I've got a new section of Reynolds chain coming, which is what was on there originally. The sprockets don't look too bad. They're sharpening up a little bit, but to get the right size and everything is going to be a lot of work, and without machinery to finish the job, be it the slot and head, etc. Until I finish the mill, maybe I can go back and tweak things like that. But to be honest, this will probably last another. Once the new chain's on there, it'll probably last, for the use it's going to get here for the rest of my lifetime at least. So that's the chain. Here's the next part. So this is the casing that covers up the top pulley that sits behind here. So this is just a clean up. Very simple, scrape off the paint, re-prep and paint again. This is where I was getting the indication that the original colour was grey. We've got this green colour over the top and these lighter greens, and they're very easy to get off. And this darker grey that seems to sit under, and it's underneath the castings and bits. So whether that was just an internal colour that they used on the internal castings and different external, but I think this grey underneath may have been painted, but this is the grey, when I scrape it back, is very tough and hard to get off, whereas all the rest of these greens and stuff are all scrape off very easy. So I've got a feeling that, like I say, hopefully that was the original colour. I'm not too fussed by that, but it's nice if it is going back to its original for a restoration. Yeah, but again, there's so much quality into these parts. This could have been just a sheet metal guard really, but it's solid cast. And all it does is cover the it covers up the belt plate. And then this, which is a very nice addition, this is your handrail that basically mounts through here. So you can spin the, say you want to reverse a tap back out, because there's no reverse on the machine at the moment, and that gives you the ability to do that by hand. It's also great for setup, so you can gently spin it over, check things are true, touch off work. It's a really nice arrangement, and the two pins locate into the pulley, which then ensures you've got solid drive. So yeah, all of this is so nicely made. This we're going to polish up later, so I want to leave it cast and then give it a really good polish. It shouldn't rust again then. If I bring it to a high enough finish, it'll be very resistant to rusting. So you can see how easy this scrapes off. It's just very... Whereas the grey paint underneath, that really stops. So I think you can assume that's probably original or a very decent repaint. Again, none of this really affects the function of the machine at all. It's just nice while I've got it apart to do the checks I'm going to do. I might as well paint it up and make it look nice as well. I think it's a deserving machine. So, and the way it's going to get used by me for, you know, small tool making use and bits, it's not going to get hammered again. It's not going to be in full production. So it's worth putting the time in and just making it look a nice addition to the workshop. You can see it. It's quite resistant, that paint. So is this. This is kind of a bit of rough casting finish, so I probably won't mess around that too much. I'll just make sure this surface is clean so it makes nicely. Clean off any rust, and she'll be ready to go. Something else I noticed with this is this section's been machined, but then here it comes to a rough casting. And I'm guessing, being just a guard, they had a set tolerance for clearance for that. This part's sat proud, so it ended up getting machined. And this runs into just a casting because that was below the height required from here to here, and that just kind of, yeah, it did what it needed to do. So, the danger of never finishing it, I'm not going to go and machine this surface off. The way my mind works is I need to see some progress to keep things rolling. It's what you'll see me jump about a bit because I want to see it back and running. Then I may go back and do an extra improvement later. It just keeps me motivated. So, and I know what works and what doesn't for keeping me ticking over on these projects. And I don't want to, you know, get so deep on it that I end up never completing it or getting fed up with it. So, yeah. But yeah. So all I'm going to do is I will mask off this and paint this back face. Just paint the whole face. It's internal, but I'll know it's done. Here you can see the yeah, it's getting a lot more purple now, reacting with the rust, iron oxide, and the phosphoric, and bits are reacting with it, converting it over. So we should be ready for painting a bit. Here's the basic cover here for the. Covers the upright, I'll get there in a minute, lead screw, that's it, find the words. So that covers that, so it's, yeah, it's just a simple sheet metal part, so it'll be a very simple, yeah, sand up, clean, spray, job done. See in here, this is, I got sent some pictures by Dave who had the machine previously when he got the machine, and just everywhere, massive amounts of brass. So I think it spent a lot of its life doing brass components because they're everywhere, inside the castings, in the gearbox, behind the table they were when Dave originally stripped the table down. So yeah, it's yeah, there's still lots of those slivers waiting to still get you after all those years, just waiting to jump into the finger. So this is the main drive motor, sorry, the belt cover. And it's also the main casting, so it sits at the back of the machine. That's where the belt drive sits inside. This face mates up against the main body, and there's a little down the bottom here to see. There's a little oiling point where you oil from the top. So you drop the couple of squirts of oil in there, it keeps the chain lubricated that's running around for the main drive. This was another reason I was thinking of grey as the original colour, was the inside of here. Again, they might have painted the inside of the castings different colours to the outside, but I'll just go with that. Like I say, you can see this hasn't had much. At the end of the day, it's just a guard. You can see some crusty bits of casting in here, but the clearance is there for what's needed. You can see it's certainly not lacking oil. Where it's got the drip fed system, the wicks for all the main drive, it's, yeah, everything stays well lubricated, so, which is a good thing. So I'm going to clean out all the crud out of here. It's just years and years of rubber dust. It's just built up over time. While it's apart, I might as well do it. Clean it all out, and then a surface treatment. Good sand down, ready for painting. This part's actually big enough, probably better get the orbital sand on it once I've scraped off the rust. Get a vacuum on it. Should make things a bit quicker. Okay, same steps as all the others, so I won't record it for long. So just a spray, get rid of the top layer of paint, then we'll give it a sound, a prep, and then she'll be ready for paint then. That's it, it's not car body work, it hasn't got to be perfect, but like to look at this as good as it will when it was supplied, I think. You can see all this, I think this is like a oily sort of deposit that's built up over the years. Just like a top smear or maybe even a clear lacquer or something, but it comes off of these. And then something you're getting around the serial numbers and stuff. I wish I tried that many hours ago, because if you turn the speed down low, it's actually there's no dust. What is being caught there or just falling on the floor, and it's probably going to save hours and hours. But there you go, you live and learn. Just a quick overview. So this part was very similar. So we took off all the paint. I mean, yeah, like I say, if it's car body work, you'd be upset with it, but it was. It's got the original plates on the inside. I didn't paint the inside because it's pretty good as it is. We've got the original feed rate for all the, I got the right way up. Yeah, it's lovely to see all that still in place. But yeah, so basically stripped it back, an etch prime spray, which meant it was very quick to go off. And then there's just a brushed top coat of T-Mac industrial enamel. It's actually, what's it called? Massey Ferguson grey, I believe. Yeah, but it's very close to like your Bridgeport and a lot of the other standard colours. It's not that far off from the Colchester grey. It's more grey. This is more greeny grey, but yeah. So it's a very good. And this stuff is bulletproof. I put this on an old Bridgeport years ago, and none of the oil softened it. It just lasted and lasted. Right, there's one side in primer. Got all the other little bits and pieces in primer, so just the big motor mount to do, and then ready for some painting. So there's the motor mount, and then etch primer. There's that part. Most of them now primed up, ready to go. Okay, there's the bracket all painted up. There's the casting. There's some other bits scattered about, but yeah, that's the piece there for the upright. That's some dodgy painting I did on the Colchester because I picked the wrong paint colour yet again. I did it with tailstock first, and now that's matched. And now I've got that, which is clearly not the right colour. More to be done.